Have you ever looked around your home and thought, how did I end up with so much and still feel like I have no space? It's not the stuff itself that weighs on us. It's the quiet pressure behind it, the guilt, the memories, the what ifs. And in a small house, even one drawer can feel like it's pressing on your chest. But here's the truth: decluttering doesn't have to feel like grief. It doesn't have to mean throwing away your life. In fact, today, we're going to walk through 5 gentle shifts that women over 60 are using to take their small homes and turn them into places of peace again. This isn't about minimalism or perfection. It's about breathing easier in your own space, feeling lighter, and letting go without feeling like you're losing yourself. I still remember talking to Janice, a retired school secretary in Ohio, who had filled 3 shoeboxes with birthday cards from over the years. "They're not even from people I still talk to," she said with a soft laugh, but throwing them out felt like erasing that part of me. Instead of tossing them all, she picked 3 that truly meant something and placed them in a small wooden keepsake box next to her chair. The rest, she let go with a little prayer of thanks. Now, every time she sits with her tea, that box reminds her not of clutter, but of connection. So if you've been feeling stuck, frozen, or even a little ashamed about what's piling up in your corners, this is your gentle permission slip. Let's start with the first mistake that quietly steals your space, even when you think you're being practical. Mistake number 1: saving for someday that never comes. Let me ask you something quietly. How many things in your home are waiting for a moment that might never come? Maybe it's the extra casserole dish tucked behind the blender, just in case the church potluck comes back. Or the linen napkins with embroidered edges folded neatly but never used, because they're too nice for every day. Or maybe it's the unopened box of stationery you bought years ago, thinking you'd start writing notes again like you did in the 80s when mail still felt sacred. These things aren't trash. They're good, useful, and in their own way, filled with intention. That's what makes them hard to let go. But if we're honest, in a small home, someday doesn't always fit into today. I think about Linda, a sweet woman I visited outside Tulsa. She's 72, widowed, lives in a compact brick house with one sunny bedroom and a galley kitchen that still holds the same Corelle dishes from her wedding registry. Her hallway closet, full of untouched guest towels still in plastic. For when the grandkids stay over, she said, but they've only visited twice in the past 3 years, and they prefer using beach towels on the couch anyway. One afternoon, she sat with me and said, "I think I've been preparing for a season that already passed." That moment stayed with me. You see, keeping these items often isn't about the object at all. It's about hope, and sometimes fear. Hope that we'll be needed again. Fear that if we let go, we're letting go of purpose or meaning or tradition. But there's quiet wisdom in accepting that not everything we keep is still keeping us. Personally, I used to hold on to a set of perfectly folded flannel sheets, blue plaid, soft as old memories. I never used them. My bed ran warm, but I kept them, thinking maybe I'd use them if I ever had to move north again. That move never came. One day, I finally dropped them off at the local mission where someone truly needed them that very night, and I walked out feeling 10 years lighter. So here's what I gently suggest. Go to one drawer or one shelf. Pick up one item you've been saving, just one, and ask it, is this who I still am, or was it meant for a version of me I've already outgrown? If you're not using it now and not truly planning to, let it go with gratitude, not with guilt. Because making space in a small home isn't about getting rid of things. It's about releasing what no longer fits the life you're living now. And when you do that, even with just one object, you open room for something better. Clarity, ease, and peace. We don't lose anything by letting go. We make room to become someone lighter. Now, While this first mistake is about waiting for a future that may never come, the next one is sneakier. It hides in plain sight, right by the door or on the kitchen counter, disguised as organization. But really, it's just clutter dressed politely. Let's talk about it. Mistake number 2, boxing memories, not processing them. Have you ever opened a storage bin only to quickly shut it again, whispering, "Not today"? It's that soft plastic tub in the corner of the closet, the one with your wedding album, your son's baseball glove, maybe even a sympathy card from 1998 with handwriting that made your heart ache a little. Many of us think we're decluttering when we neatly tuck those memories into a box. We believe we're being responsible. I'll deal with it later. But often, later never comes. Instead of healing, we're just postponing the conversation. I remember visiting a woman named Sandra outside Asheville. Her cottage was warm and welcoming, sunlight through lace curtains, a radio playing soft hymns. But in the bedroom closet were 6 large bins stacked high, all marked memory, not labeled by year or content, just that one word, memory. I asked gently if she knew what was inside. She said, "No, honey. I just knew I couldn't throw it out, so I boxed it up." Her daughter had passed in '97. That was the first box. She never opened it again. When we don't process our memories, they don't disappear. They just sit heavier, quietly filling space we could be living in. Here's something small you can do. Pick just one box. Set it beside you like an old friend, not a ghost. Open it. Breathe. Choose one item, just one, and ask, what is this really holding for me? A story? A goodbye? A season I haven't let go of? You don't have to toss anything right away. But by truly seeing it, naming it, you've already taken a healing step, because memories aren't meant to be stacked. They're meant to be honored, then allowed to rest. Years ago, I found a single note from my mom tucked inside my kitchen drawer. It said, "Don't forget the sweet corn today. Love, Mom." It wasn't profound, but I'd kept it for 30 years. I smiled, took a photo of it, and then finally let it go. That scrap of paper had already given me all the love it ever would. Sometimes we box things up because we're afraid of the pain. But I've learned the pain doesn't live in the object. It lives in the avoidance. Memories don't need to be stored. They need to be seen, loved, and released. So if the first mistake was holding on for a future that never came, this one is about the past that won't rest. And as we move forward, there's another gentle trap many fall into, one that looks organized but leaves no breathing room. Let's talk about that next. Mistake number 3, decluttering without a destination. Ever walked around your living room holding something in your hands? An old vase? A stack of church newsletters from 2003? Unsure whether to toss it, keep it, or just set it somewhere for now. And then, for now becomes forever? You're not alone. Many of us start the process of decluttering without knowing exactly where things will go. And that's when our good intentions quietly turn into new piles. The truth is, without a destination, without a clear plan, letting go feels unfinished. It leaves our space in limbo and our hearts still heavy. Because we don't just need to decide what to release, we need to know where it's going and why. I remember Martha, a woman I met in Colorado Springs. Her kitchen was spotless, but her sunroom was stacked with bags labeled to donate eventually. She told me, "I did the hard part. I chose to let go. But now I don't know what to do with it all." For over a year, those bags sat untouched. She'd shuffle past them every morning on the way to her coffee pot, each time feeling a strange mix of pride and guilt. She had decluttered, but not quite. So here's a simple solution. Before you begin any decluttering session, no matter how small, choose the destination first. Maybe it's the Goodwill bin by the church parking lot. Maybe it's your niece's first apartment, or a women's shelter that accepts gently used coats. Even a labeled cardboard box in the car trunk is better than the hallway floor. When you have a destination, your decision gains purpose. It's no longer just about removing clutter. It's about giving your item a second life. And that shift in mindset makes letting go not just easier, but meaningful. Years ago, I gave away a set of mixing bowls I'd had since my wedding. They'd sat unused for years after Margaret passed. I donated them to a church bake sale in town. A week later, a young woman came up to me. She didn't know the story, but she said, "I bought the bowls. I bake with them every Sunday with my daughter." That moment told me nothing was wasted. When you know where it's going, you no longer feel like you're losing. It feels like passing something forward. And once you give your belongings a future, it's easier to give yourself one too. Now, let's gently shift to the next mistake, one that hides behind good intentions but often steals our precious space. Mistake number 4, keeping out of guilt, not joy. Let me ask you something quietly. How many items in your home do you truly love? And how many are just there? Sitting on a shelf, folded in a drawer, or boxed in the garage. Kept not because they bring you peace, but because they carry someone else's expectation, memory, or approval. This is one of the most subtle mistakes I've seen women over 60 make in small homes. We hold on to things not because they reflect who we are, but because we feel we should. A vase from a niece, a crystal candy dish from a friend's wedding in '87, the handmade scarf from a daughter-in-law that never felt quite right. We don't use them, we don't enjoy them, but we don't let them go either. Not because of love, because of guilt. Guilt is heavy, heavier than any box or bin in the attic. And the truth is, guilt takes up more space than the items ever do. It clings quietly in corners, whispers, "What if she notices it's gone?" Or, "What would Mom think?" But deep down, we know. We are not keeping these things out of gratitude. We're keeping them out of fear. And in doing so, we crowd out what truly brings us peace. Let me share a moment with you from Helen's home in Milwaukee. She's 67, lives alone now in a modest condo with cream-colored curtains and a single rocking chair by the window. When I visited her, we opened her hall closet together. Inside was a beautiful but bulky crocheted Afghan in orange and brown. I asked, "Do you use this one often?" She hesitated, eyes softening. "My mother-in-law made it. It's scratchy and it never really matched anything, but she was so proud when she gave it to me." I nodded. "And do you want to keep it?" She sighed. "I don't, but I feel like letting it go would be letting her go." That moment was sacred. We folded the blanket slowly. She said out loud, "Mary, thank you for this. You were kind to me, but I'm ready now." We took a photo of it. She tucked the photo into her journal and we placed the blanket in a donation bag for the women's shelter downtown. Sometimes releasing the object allows us to keep the memory more clearly. The object fades, but the feeling, that warmth, that gratitude, it stays. I've been there too. Years ago, I had an old camping mug my brother gave me before he passed. I never used it. It was chipped, discolored, but every time I touched it, I felt him for a moment. Still, every time I looked at it, I felt sad. One day, I asked myself, what's heavier, the mug or the sorrow? I took a photo, placed it in a small memory folder on my desktop, and passed the mug along. I still remember him, but now I feel lighter when I do. If you're feeling stuck on whether to let something go, ask this. Is this item honoring the person or holding on to the guilt? And if it's the second, maybe it's time to thank it, bless it, and pass it on. Here's a gentle practice. When you're unsure, hold the object in your hand. Whisper to it like an old friend. Thank you. You came with love, but your job here is done. You might be surprised how peaceful that feels. Love that's real doesn't need to be held in objects. It lives in memory and in how we carry it forward. And remember, Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means making space. Space to move, a space to breathe, space to welcome what's next. We're not trying to empty a home, we're trying to free the heart. Now, as we start to wind down, there's one more mistake we need to gently face. And it's one so common, it hides in plain sight. It's about where our clutter goes and what happens when we pretend it's out of sight, out of mind. Mistake number 5, making space but not resting in it. Let me ask you something gently. Have you ever finished decluttering a room, finally cleared the floor, folded the blankets, wiped down the last shelf, and then just closed the door behind you and walked away? You didn't sit down. You didn't let out a deep breath. You didn't enjoy what you just created. You just moved on to the dishes, to the laundry, to helping someone else. That, my dear friend, is the last mistake many women make, especially those living in smaller homes. They make space, but they never rest in it. The work of decluttering becomes a task, not a gift. A finish line, not a beginning. And it breaks my heart because I've seen how often women, especially those over 60, give and give and give, then tidy and sort and donate, but forget to keep one thing for themselves: stillness. Let me tell you about my neighbor Betty, who moved into a one-bedroom senior apartment last spring. She'd lost her husband the year before, and the house they shared was too big, too quiet. She did a beautiful job downsizing. Her new place was bright and airy, just off a walking path lined with maple trees. She called me one morning to come see how she'd finished organizing her living room. When I walked in, it looked like a page from a home magazine. Neatly arranged books, framed photos of her grandkids, soft pillows on the sofa. But something felt paused, like the room was waiting for someone. I asked her gently, "Where do you usually sit?" And she laughed. "Oh, I don't really. I just keep it neat in case someone drops by." That stayed with me. Betty had created peace, but she didn't think she was allowed to enjoy it. She wasn't alone. I've met dozens of women who've sorted through decades of belongings, let go of their children's toys, their late mother's baking dishes, their wedding silver, their craft supplies, all so they could breathe easier. But once the clutter was gone, they never gave themselves permission to live in that open space. Why does this happen? Sometimes it's guilt. I shouldn't just sit around. Sometimes it's habit. We're so used to caring for others that caring for ourselves feels foreign. And sometimes it's fear. Fear that if we pause, the memories will catch up, or that the quiet will feel too quiet. But here's what I've learned, both in my own life and in walking beside others. Decluttering is only half the healing. The other half is choosing to occupy the space you've reclaimed, to say, this corner is for me now. This chair is where I rest. This light, this peace, I get to have that. A few years ago, I cleared out my small sunroom. It had become a catch-all, unopened mail, half-finished puzzles, a broken lamp. After a weekend of sorting and donating, yes, including some things I swore I'd get around to fixing, I stood back and looked at that space. And for the first time in years, I saw a quiet corner with morning light. I didn't rush to rearrange it or fill it again. Instead, I moved in a soft chair I'd found at a church sale, added a little table, and brought out my old teapot. Now, that's where I sit every morning. No phone, no plans, just tea, light, and my breath. And you know what? It's the best room in the house, not because of how it looks, but because I use it. You don't need a full remodel. You don't need matching furniture. You need one clean chair, one soft lamp, one cup of something warm, and permission. Permission to rest. Permission to be. Because here's the quiet truth. A clean home isn't just for guests. It's not just for holidays or photos or when someone's stopping by. It's for you. It's for your nervous system, your heart, your healing. What we clear on the outside makes room for who we are on the inside. So if you've made space, beautiful, now go sit in it. Take 5 minutes this afternoon. Put on a song you love, light a candle, pull out a soft blanket, rest your feet in the quiet you've earned. And when that little voice creeps in, you should be doing something. You can smile and say, I'm being with myself. That's enough. And now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with one last encouragement. Maybe you've made all 5 mistakes we talked about today. That's okay. So have I. Most women do, not because they're careless, but because they've spent a lifetime putting others first. But today you can start fresh. You can choose one small shift. You can say, this space I cleared, it's mine now. And you can sit down in it gently, like you belong, because you do. So stay with me for one more moment. I'll wrap up this video with a few parting thoughts and a gentle next step you can take, one that doesn't require another donation box, just a deeper breath. Your space is the mirror of your season. Maybe no one's ever told you this, but the way your home feels right now, it quietly echoes the season you're in. Not the weather outside, but the season of your soul. Some seasons are for holding close. Some are for letting go. But all of them ask the same quiet question: who am I becoming? That's why decluttering isn't about perfection. It's about alignment, about making sure the things you see each day, the objects you touch, the corners you walk past, still match the woman you are now, not the one you used to be, or the one someone else expected you to become. So I want to leave you with this. What you choose to keep is who you're choosing to become. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't require an overhaul. Just pick one mistake from today's video that you recognized in yourself. Maybe it's the guilt gifts, or maybe it's the habit of boxing memories without sitting with them. Maybe it's rushing past your peaceful corners instead of sinking into them. Just one. One gentle shift. Try the fix this week. Let it be soft. Let it be yours. And if you're willing, comment below and tell me, which decluttering shift are you ready to try? I read every word you share. And I promise this is a space with no judgment, only warmth. And if someone popped into your heart as you watched, a sister, a neighbor, an old friend from church, send this to her. You never know. It might be the encouragement she needed to love her small home again. Because in the end, you're not just clearing shelves. You're making space for peace, for purpose, for afternoons that breathe easier, for a life that fits beautifully, quietly, just right for who you are now. And I'd say that's more than enough.